1 year ago this week, Charli XCX released her 6th studio album, BRAT. And I think it's a fair assumption to say, myself included, absolutely nobody thought it would become the massive success that it was. It became a pop culture phenomenon after she'd already been in the industry for half of her life, mind you. We had presidential memes, we had the album cover that literally everybody hated but then did a full 180 on. We had the BRAT wall, we had the BRAT-mobile. BRAT was named the word of the year by Collins Dictionary. BRAT got a whole section at the London fireworks. There was a whole remix album. It became the most acclaimed album of 2024. We had the self-proclaimed internet it girls, the revival of indie sleaze. It was the rejection of the clean girl, the accusations of taking disco biscuits. But above all, everything was Charli. It was her love and lust for the club world that she grew up in that finally broke her through in a very busy year, really. Like when you think about the rise of Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift's eternal domination is what it feels like. BRAT was able to carve its own lane into pop culture, and it did so with a strappy white top, a Bic lighter, and a pack of Marlboro Gold. So I thought, why not? Why not do a video 1 year post BRAT Summer where we can go into all of the best moments and understand, is BRAT Summer a state of mind and will it ever go anywhere, or was it just a flash in the pan for Charlotte Xbox? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Pop Goes Joe TV, a channel where the smallest parts of my brain get unleashed onto you guys, whether you like it or not. Now, not to say that I've been here first, but I have clocked in at the Angel Factory since about 2012. I was there for I Love It, and granted, I wasn't really there for Charli. I was obsessed with Icona Pop. I thought they were fantastic.
I thought this fucking song was big in Germany! What the fuck are you doing?
It was when Charli released Super Love that I really became a fan. And since then, we have watched Charli become a mainstream hitmaker with the likes of Fancy, which was of course with Iggy Iggy. She scored a Tumblr anthem with the likes of Boom Clap. She then ditched the mainstream and then went down what would be a very important career path for her, which were her 3 EP mixtapes. And those really were the foundations for BRAT. Now, for the untrained angel, it may seem like Charli's success has really came out of nowhere and she's just catapulted into the mainstream very rapidly, but Charli has been there. She has probably written some of your favorite songs by other artists. So in order to understand the motherquake, which was BRAT, we need to do a teeny bit of housekeeping into the history of Charli XCX. So let's go. Charli XCX, or as the gays call her, Charlotte Xbox, began her career on MySpace, where she was uploading demos, which then caught the eye of a promoter who then invited her to perform at illegal raves in East London. Charli was a MySpace girl. That is how far back she was. I feel like if I said MySpace, like to somebody in at Gen Z now, they would be like, what? But you guys don't know the drama and the trauma of having to pick a top 8. That's all I'm saying. Fast forward a few years and Charli releases her debut album, True Romance, which was a critical success but a commercial failure. 1 year after that, Charli gets probably one of her biggest commercial breakthroughs yet, which was a feature on Iggy Azalea's Fancy, which was the song of the summer for 2014. And she never performs it now. She then got her first ever radio hit, which was of course Boom Clap, and that was a Tumblr anthem due to it being featured in the movie The Fault in Our Stars, which you couldn't open Tumblr back in the day without seeing somebody do the okay meme. Throughout the next few years, she had varying levels of success, and it was mainly in her home country. She had songs like Doing It with Rita Ora, After the After Party, which was the intended lead single of the leaked album XCX World, and 1999 featuring Troye Sivan, which then began a personal and a professional relationship with Troye that we've seen blossom with the likes of the Sweat Tour. It was around 2017 that Charli began to express some public disdain for her record label and also the whole pop star machine as a whole, leading her to release 3 of the most important bodies of work in her career, which was Vroom Vroom, Number One Angel, and Pop 2. These projects dived into the early days of hyperpop. It was Charli and AJ Cook and the late great Sophie working together to carve out this really new genre that Charli's now became quite a pioneer for. Fast forward to lockdown and she releases an album called How I'm Feeling Now, made in just 5 weeks, nominated for the Mercury Prize, features the currently viral Party For You, which again, I think is about 8 years old because it was a demo around like 2017, 2018 first. Fast forward to 2022 and Charli decides that she's going to play the pop star again and she releases Crash. Now she might not like Crash that much, but I think Crash is such an underrated album, inspired by the likes of like Janet Jackson, and it really saw Charli like go into the pop star promo machine again. She was doing like late night talk shows, she had choreo, very kind of like radio friendly hits. Then in 2023 she contributes the song Speed Drive to the Barbie soundtrack, and that becomes an unexpected hit for her. What this did do, however, is after doing the pop star era with Crash and actually having her most commercially successful successful album ever, and then proving that she can actually chart singles with the Barbie soundtrack. Charli was then able to use this as leverage for when she was renegotiating her record deal and signed again with Atlantic to make the music that she's always wanted to make. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where BRAT comes into it. So for the BRAT section, I thought we would look at the pre-release singles, then the album being released, all of the marketing for it, then BRAT becoming this pop culture phenomenon, and then what's next for BRAT. Because I like a bit of structure, ladies and gentlemen. I like a bit of structure, so hopefully you do too. So let's kick off with the pre-singles. Charli kicked off the BRAT era with the lead single Von Dutch, and in true Charli fashion, the single failed to chart into the upper regions of pretty much every major music market. But for me, that just simply adds to the chaos of the song. For Charli to start the entire BRAT era by saying, "It's okay to admit that you're jealous of me," that was not an indicator as to what success Charli was about to have, then I don't know. Filmed in an airport in Paris, it was the first music video that we got from BRAT, and it showed Charli causing chaos in the departure lounge. She was on the wing of the plane at one point, laying the foundations of how one should conduct themselves during BRAT Summer. It has now become a massive fan favourite, and I think partly of that is due to its live performance with its extended intro in. The Von Dutch release would then start a trend for the entire BRAT era, and that's all of the singles would then get remixes. Von Dutch had 2 of these, with the most popular of that being the one featuring current darling Addison Rae, in which she has the now iconic scream, which has gone down in gay history. Also, side note, ladies and gentlemen, Addison Rae released her album this week, and you've got to check that out. She is not a TikToker anymore. Let me tell you that. She has gone to the school of Britney, she's gone to the school of Madonna, and she's carving out this lane, which is Addison. And I, for one, I'm front row. Now, following Von Dutch, she then releases 360, which is a music video trying to find the next internet it girl, with cameos from people like Gabrielle, Rachel Sennett, and of course, Miss Julia Fox. 360 kind of became the charting breakthrough for BRAT, and the song began to chart into the upper regions of some major music market. Then a month later, Charli XCX releases BRAT. And the one thing that really does annoy me about BRAT is, more often than not, people really reduce it to this album, which is all about taking naughty things, taking a disco biscuit, going out and partying, and it is so much more than that. Songs like Sympathy Is a Knife, which is highly speculated to be about Taylor Swift, really explores Charli trying to figure out where her place is as a pop star. A Girl So Confusing, which we now know is about Lorde due to the remix, they focus on Charli and Lorde's relationship. Is it contentious? Is it bad? Who needs to pick up the phone first? The song Rewind was actually made in response to the success that Speed Drive got. Apple was written in the style of her friend and close collaborator Caroline Polachek, and I Think About It All the Time was written about Charli really thinking, is her biological clock running up? Is she less of a woman because she doesn't have a baby? All of these things really explored, and I don't want to say womanhood because I don't think I can actually speak on that because it's something that I will never know. But I would say definitely growing uphood. BRAT existed as this tension between BPM heavy, club scene, and also really naughty explorations of grief, in the form of So I, which is about Sophie's passing. BRAT for me was Charli creating this record that was really celebrating this constant regurgitation of being insecure. And that's not a bad thing, because how are we expected to have everything figured out when the entire world is constantly changing? It was an album that cemented that the dance floor is just as effective as therapy. So whilst people continue to criticize BRAT for a myriad of reasons, it is just fair to say, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And that's fine. I honestly think it's just lazy to reduce BRAT to this album about taking substances when it is so much more than that. Anyway, and over. I also just want to take a moment to say that if you have made it this far in here, thank you so much. If you could like the video, I mean, why not? You're probably enjoying it anyway. Hit that subscribe, then hopefully I can continue growing this channel and I can give you some more weird twisted parts of my brain, which, if you're still here, you probably enjoy it. Just some more stats. BRAT became 2024's most critically acclaimed album. It topped the year-end list for pretty much every single publication. It initially missed out on #1 on its release week due to a fairly dodgy UK exclusive from Taylor Swift, of which I don't want to start the Stan Wars again, but come on. You've already had about 1 million weeks at #1. Let Charli have one. However, it was with the release of its remix album that BRAT was then able to hit #1 in the UK. And also, it had its first ever 6-figure sales week in the US too. So let's go through BRAT's promotion. The first is, of course, the BRAT album cover. Now, when this album cover actually came out, not a single soul liked it. There were so many people like, please tell us this is a placeholder. There were people like, don't worry guys, it's a placeholder, don't worry about it. But the BRAT album cover actually took 5 months for them to make, and over 500 shades of green were considered to then become brat grade. This was apparently done as Charli really lamented the fact that women become products, especially like when they sell albums. So she wanted to take herself off of the cover in order to basically just be like, here's my album. You don't need to see my knockers in order to buy it. And I think fair play, girl. She then changed the artwork of all of her albums on streaming services to also mimic Brat, but in those albums' colours too. And now you are still having fans be like, please change them back. But as Charli said, everything is intentional, so we need to trust Mother on this one. For the deluxe album, she simply just said it's Brat, but there's 3 more songs, so it's not. And this incredibly literal trend like would be something that she would continue when she would then release the remix album too. 2025, the album cover was then changed again, but this time Brat was scribbled out. For the 1-year anniversary though, it was simply just changed to Forever. And I think yes. And for me, Brat is forever. So if this was the album art forever for me, I'd be happy. Next, we have the Brat wall. Now, similar to the Brat album cover, we had the Brat wall go up in Brooklyn, New York. This was used to then send messages all about Brat, which was then streamed live on social media platforms. The first message featured I'm your favorite reference, and then was changed to Brat, which was then changed to Lord. Also, there was a moment like where the Brat wall actually got vandalized with something you would do in the toilet. We also had the Brat curtain. For Charli XCX's tour, she has a Brat curtain which she tears down to then signify the start of her Brat set. However, as she has begun touring, this curtain is getting more ripped and ripped and ripped, and her most recent performance, which was at Primavera, that curtain is hanging on for dear life. So I think it is maybe Glastonbury, which is her last one. So my guess is it's just going to be ripped to shreds. Who knows? Possibly my favorite marketing technique was the Brat billboards, and she really utilized these for the release of the remix album. She used the billboards to announce who was going to be on the remix album, and it was done in the hometowns of those artists. For example, we had Ariana Grande, which was in Florida, Tinashe and BB Tricks, Lord, Troy. With the Brat billboards, Charli did something really great, which was she was able to really utilize like physical media but also social. She was changing all of her album covers, and then in the real world, she was making sure that like Brat was there and Brat was ready. That kind of like double attack, I think, is what made Brat become the biggest pop culture phenomenon of 2024. There was also the Bratmobile, of which here is a pic of me with it. It was a garish Brat Lamborghini. I think it was a Lamborghini. I'm gay, I don't know cars, I'm really sorry. Which Charli drove around London for the release of Brat, and she really utilized social media as well. Apple became one of the biggest TikTok trends of 2024, mainly due to its dance.
I think the apple's rotten right to the core. From all the things lost down from all the apples coming before. I spit the apple down symmetrical lines. I wanna find us kinda scary, makes me just wanna drive.
Made Charli have a whole section at her tour in which she picks the Apple girl or boy to do the Apple dance on the big screen. Pretty much every single week, there seems to be a new Charli XCX song going viral on TikTok. And you know what? I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Brat just has that many bangers that I think Charli is probably quids in now for a very, very long time. Also, I've just realized I haven't given any airtime to the Guest remix, and also Girl So Confusing, and also Talk Talk. So this is my airtime to them. They were massive singles. Like Guest became the one which actually got her charting again. She had her first ever UK #1 as a lead artist, like with that. Go and stream them, they're great. And also Girl So Confusing, that is like one of the most poignant songs ever. The first time I heard it is how I still react to it now. Like Lord's verse is so confessional. It's almost as if I'm like, I shouldn't be hearing this, and it really should just be like a conversation between them. But I'm very happy that they were then able to work it out on the remix. So how did Brat go from this high BPM pumping club sound into a state of mind? And that was the cultural phenomena that was BRAT Summer. BRAT Summer had people on the news talking about it. I think the Loose Women spoke about it once as well. BRAT Summer was everywhere. It was when you could go into your office and the most local of local girlies would be like, I'm having a BRAT Summer. And you'd be like, hold on, my culture is not your costume, missy. But we let them in for the summer, didn't we? Now, BRAT Summer, which actually has its own Wikipedia page now, is described as a confident, unapologetic person and the complete rejection of the clean girl, which has been in for about 3 years, I think, clean girls. We, of course, had the now infamous tweet, Kamala is Brat, which was when Charli tweeted about Kamala Harris, who was, of course, running for president. And then people on TikTok, people on Instagram Reels, people everywhere began to make edits, such as the coconut tree edit. There was the Green Party here here in the UK asking people to vote Brat and not Tory. There were footballers that were called Brat coded as well. Brat was everywhere. Brat Summer was the hot topic. There were articles about it in pretty much every single media publication as to how to have a Brat Summer. I think it was even spoke about on like Fox News as well, which is a territory we really do not want to go into. Even Charli, in a very weird way, became this sort of like political figure. It was almost as if she was leading the Brats and leading the Angels, whoever you want to call it now, leading them into this era of just not giving an absolute monkeys as to what you look like and going out into the dance floor again and partying. It was almost this big like hedonistic experience of which we made Charli the leader, and she was there with her Marlboro Gold and her big lighter, ready to feed the 500. We also had people making Brat themed wedding invitations. There were Brat cards, there were Brat CVs. Collins even made Brat the word of the year in 2024. But more than anything, like Brat Summer gave people permission. It gave people permission to be insecure. It gave people this undying love, really, to just not have everything figured out and to be messy, but also to live for the summer, go out and party. We are only going to be this young and hot as we are right now, so go out and snog somebody and ask them to guess the color of your underwear. So Brat actually saw Charli get nominated like for Grammys, and she won 3 of them. She completely sweeped the Brits and also said that she didn't want to perform at the Brits because she just wanted to party, which again is very Brat coded. She extended the Brat era way into 2025 by performing at Coachella, which then I think probably saw a big resurgence into Brat Summer, thinking, can we go for round 2? She headlined Primavera, and she also said that she really doesn't feel any pressure to actually top Brat. Like, she's very happy like with her next album being a flop. She's an artist that very much works like in the now, and for somebody that gave us Brat and a deluxe and an entire remix album, we need to just let Brat live in its moment. Now, as a Charli fan, it was what I would think is probably like when you see your kid like leave primary school, right? I was like, oh my God, she is all grown up. So is Brat Summer here forever? Brat Summer will always be here for me. Brat Summer was here for me in 2013, and it will still be here for me in about 2048 when I'm old and grey. Hopefully I'm not grey by 2048. So that's all from me today. I will be back with another video very, very soon. But yeah, Brat Summer forever, everyone. Brat Summer, baby.